It's no longer really an opportunity or choice, it's an imperative. To telling the story, how do we make sure that we're taking full advantage of any and all assets that are on the grid and at customer premises.
Welcome everyone to the EI360 podcast. My name is Sandy Coughlin and I'm joined here with David Swink. David, we're continuing our discussion on DERMs and VPPs. And today, the discussion really centers on interoperability and the importance of interoperability on the grid. We have a really great guest that we've been trying to get on for a long time. We finally convinced him. We're grateful he's here. He is the Director of Smart City and Infrastructure Solutions at Wesco, and we welcome, let me bring him on, Kirk Whittington. Welcome, Kirk.
Good morning. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate it.
So happy you're here. David, I'm going to turn the time over to you. I'd love for you to expand on our relationship with Wesco and also on the topic today, interoperability.
Yeah, well, thank you, Kirk, again for being here, and Sandy, thank you for that introduction. And it's good to have you, Kirk, on with us today. And when Sandy mentioned our relationship with Wesco, and we appreciate our relationship with Wesco, but we all know you really don't have relationships with companies; you have a relationship with people. And Kirk, really, our relationship really has been in large part with you, and just truly appreciate getting to know you individually and grow that relationship. Yeah. I feel you bring a lot of insights into this whole idea of interoperability because of your background and working in the ESCO world and working with Siemens and just really the experiences you've had in your life. And it's a lot of what we try to bring here on this podcast is just, people's experiences in life and where they've come from. And, Kirk, I heard a quote that talked about that, it's challenges make life interesting, but it's overcoming those challenges that make life meaningful. And one of the subject matters we're talking today about interoperability is really a significant challenge that the industry has faced. And I think if you were to look at about any, article on smart grids or microgrids or smart cities or all these terms we use, a common challenge throughout all of those would be this idea of interoperability. And for our audience, I would just say that really, interoperability is all about the ability to create this kind of plug and play experience where, assets, data, information is no longer siloed, but being used in a really, truly valuable way. Kirk, before we jump in and ask you a few questions here today, I just want to, set the stage for, our audience today about why we're talking about, interoperability as it relates to DERMs and VPPs, distributed energy resource management, virtual power plants. At its core, it's all about assets, and it's all about how these assets both, consume power, produce power, and how they work in an aggregate, how they work as a coordinated effort versus independent, we call it point solutions. And one of the things we've really prided ourselves on is trying to create that platform that creates that interoperability and creates it in a real-time way, which when it's all said and done, it's about data. I've always believed that as a utility industry, we're moving from managing electrons to managing data. And I say that because there's a book that I really would encourage our audience to potentially read, and it's entitled "A Digital Transformation Playbook." And in that book, Kirk, just to set the stage here, it talks about how important data is and how we've moved from certain aspects of data to where we're at today. And I'm just going to mention 3 or 4 of those. One is the challenges of data has in the past been a lot about storing and managing, but today really it's more about turning it into valuable information. The focus is no longer, hey, can we store it? Can we manage it? In the past, it's been, can we make use of structured data? And today we're talking about taking unstructured data and increasing usable value of it. So interoperability is a lot about that. And then, it really is in the past been about, can we use data for optimizing processes? And today, really, it's all about data being an intangible asset for value creation. And so when I say that, moving from, about processes to value creation, I say that because that's really what a DERM and a VPP is. It's about creating new business constructs for value creation. And so I say that because I want our audience to kind of understand why we feel interoperability is such a critical element and such a critical point. But what we'd really like to kind of hear from you today, Kirk, as we think about this interoperability from your aspect, could you share with us a little bit of just, first of all, your perspective about interoperability?
Well, thank you. Again, thank you, Sandy, and for David for inviting me to be on here. It's obviously a pleasure and honor to be on here. The interesting thing about what you just said and how you framed that, David, you can imagine my mind went in a lot of different directions. However, the thing that, I came from the ESCO world with Honeywell and with Siemens, and their whole goal is to look at a facility or a campus or a city or university and see exactly what improvement measures need to be made. And some of our discussions have always been around siloed different solutions. And, those companies have to look at a holistic approach, and they're guaranteeing savings. So they look at each individual piece and look at lighting, look at water, look at HVAC type of improvements, and they have to guarantee each one of those. The interesting thing about technology in my mind, though, is that none of that has ever really been tied together. You've had building automation systems that tried to tie in lighting and building and HVAC, but there's so much more to it. And that's the part that really has opened my eyes with what NX can bring to the table, is that you start back at the utility. You look at the supply and you see where the electricity is coming from, how all that ties together with the substation, how it ties together into each individual building on a campus. Let's say it's a university that has 100 buildings on it. How is all that truly tied together with transformers, with EV charging, with solar, with all those different pieces and parts? Not just a smart building, but a smart whole infrastructure of what you have with this end user. That's the huge value that I see. And then also the other thing that you're looking at with an ESCO side of the table is your savings. So when you can reduce the demand and reduce that demand curve by 30 to 40%, game over. That is fantastic. And that is truly the differentiator that I believe that NX can bring to any project, any city, any university, K through 12 schools, whatever. So, I could go on and on, but truly to me, that is the big picture that I saw of what interoperability is. And, realistically, 5 years ago, technology was not there. It couldn't do all this. And truly humans have made, when you're forced to do something, humans come through almost every time. And the technology and the innovation has gotten it to where it really is today. So I'm excited about where we are, not just with this industry, but with all the solutions that NX can bring to the table. So we're just happy to be part of it and happy to be part of the ecosystem with this. So.
Well, thank you, Kirk. And, Kirk, one thing as I listen to you that I really do appreciate about you is that you are always thinking about value, return on investment. I hear that in you so often, and it's easy to get almost enamored with the technology and to the engineering component of it and the technology side of it. And sometimes we really don't drive home, kind of the real why. And the real why is that value you spoke to, because, we need to make sure that people understand that, buying cool technologies is not what this is about. It really is about, as you just described, creating those savings as such. And, and on that point, Kirk, I mean, we're very excited and proud of our relationship with Wesco and have such admiration for what Wesco represents in the market. And of course, in a day of where we're at today, supply chain management, having access to assets and so forth. Could you speak to that a little bit about, I really, want you to share with the audience just how valuable what Wesco provides in this realm of supply chain management.
If you're talking about a utility or talking about a city, speed to market, speed to getting those different products to an end user is everything. And then the interoperability of each one of those different parts and pieces is so important that they actually fit into the marketplace of exactly what your NX is actually bringing to a project, and making sure that even before something goes down, transformers have such a long lead time right now, and being able to pre-order and make sure that the supply chain is there and not having to wait a long time for a particular part, a generator or solar, or any of these pieces, you've got to make sure that supply chain is up to speed. And, Wesco is a world leader in that specific thing. So I'm very honored to be with this company, and it's just really a positive thing that the supply chain is what we focus on, and I believe a huge value to our end user customers. So.
Oh, most definitely, Kirk. And I tell you, we appreciate that as well. And I think for those that are looking at microgrids, which means I'm creating a compact, or they're looking at smart circuits, or looking at smart cities, one of the things that we use kind of as a statement here is this idea of generation to toaster. And I don't know of any company out there that can provide whether it's utilities, whether it's C&I customers, whether it's cities, that kind of generation to toaster access. And, one thing, Kirk, kind of as we wrap things up here, one of the goals we've had collectively has been to kind of create this intelligent marketplace within our platform that exposes not just this, supply chain, but even in terms of compacts. If you're looking for a public safety power management, a wildfire solution, we've been able to work with you in bundling that. So it makes it easier for people to have access. If you're looking for a smart circuit, if you're looking for a microgrid, if you're looking for a smart building, and I just think those are tremendous. And that gets back to that interoperability within that compact solution. So any last thoughts about that intelligent marketplace concept and solution, Kirk?
Well, yes. One nice thing that your team actually did with our team is to break it down into different segments. And the different segments that we have really got our arms around now is the grid interactive controller, the solar piece, the building automation, the all of the different parts and pieces. I think there are like 6 different segments that we're actually providing for your end user customers, which has been phenomenal. I think there's 170 different line items that we're actually being able to provide in this intelligent marketplace first, as far as the core products, and then the thousands of over 30,000 other products that we can bring if needed. But it's the intelligent marketplace is just the concept is great, but the actual reality is even better. So we're excited to be part of this, and just to show the lead times, to be able to order online, to know that you've got a transformer that I need to go ahead and get on shelf, on stock, let's say 50 more of those, and we can make sure all those are, because you've got to pre-order and you got to make sure everything is done at the right time, at the right place, and that's what we help with. So it's really positive.
Well, Kirk, it's been great having you on here, and as we knew you would do, you provided some really great insights to those who are listening, and we really appreciate you, Kirk, your friendship. I would really encourage anyone that has need for assets and for resource in this energy market to contact Wesco. They're a tremendous partner for us, and we're looking forward to the journey ahead with you, Kirk. And thank you again for your time today.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
I couldn't say it any better, David, so I'm just not going to. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.